The Galactic Alliance had rules, protocols, procedures, thick, endless volumes of them, archived in crystal memory and enforced by bureaucrats who thought in checklists. For 1,000 years they had worked. But now, nothing in those rules could help. The Vorian Rift had opened, a swirling, black and violet wound in space. Entire outposts vanished without distress calls. Ships sent in to investigate came back. If they came back at all, twisted and unrecognizable. The council assembled in the Atrium of Reason, a towering chamber of glass and silver. Dozens of species sat in concentric rings. Voices chattered in static, clicks, and melodic tones, translating into the air as panic. "What we face," said Councillor Revek of the Rulori, "is an unknown hostile force. They destroy without pattern, without warning. Our fleets cannot predict their movements. Every simulation ends in failure." "And so?" asked Admiral Kron, whose scaled hands trembled as he scrolled through yet another casualty list. The chamber went silent. Councillor Revek finally said what no one wanted to admit. "We have no idea what to do." Silence hung in the room. Even the translation nodes hesitated. And then, in the stillness, Councillor Tharin leaned forward. His voice was low, almost reluctant. "There is one option. The humans." Gasps rippled through the chamber. "No," hissed someone. "Unthinkable," muttered another. "They're Deathworlders," said Admiral Kron. "They're unpredictable, dangerous, unstable." "Yes," said Tharin. "And the last time they were called upon, they saved the Kiroth colonies from the swarm in less than 48 hours. They think in ways we cannot. Survive in environments we wouldn't even enter. If anyone can deal with this, it's them." The decision was made reluctantly. A message was sent to the Terran Defense Network. The reply came faster than expected. "Understood. Deploying specialist." Not specialists. Not a team. A specialist. The next cycle, a single Terran corvette dropped out of FTL above the station. It was small, ugly, and scorched from what looked like a recent firefight. Out of it stepped a human. He wasn't armored in gleaming alloys like Alliance Marines. His armor was matte, patched in places, the kind of kit that looked used. A rifle hung on his shoulder, not ceremonial but functional, worn from handling. His face was marked with faint scars, his eyes scanning the room like he was already mapping exits and choke points. "Name's Mason," he said simply. "No rank, no titles." "You are the Terran specialist?" asked Councillor Revek, unable to hide the disbelief in his voice. Mason shrugged. "You've got a problem. I'm here to solve it." They briefed him in a strategy chamber filled with holomaps and blinking markers. The rift hung in the center of the projection like a malignant star. Ships had entered here. Nothing had come back whole. The rift pulsed, almost alive. Mason listened, hands in his pockets. The counselors explained every failed attempt. Scouts, probes, drones, fleets. When they finished, Mason simply asked, "Did you try talking to it?" Admiral Kron blinked. "It is not sentient." "You sure?" Mason asked. "Looks to me like it's reacting, not just existing. Attacks when approached. Lays traps. That's not random." The room fell into uneasy silence. No one had considered that possibility. "What would you do?" Tharin asked carefully. Mason studied the rift for a moment. "I'd go in." 2 hours later, against every council instinct, Mason's corvette slipped into the rift alone. Inside, space twisted. The laws of physics bent like reeds in the wind. Shadows didn't follow their owners. Colors shifted without cause. Mason's ship shuddered as if something alive was running its hands across the hull. He activated manual controls. AI systems failed almost instantly, overloaded with contradictory data. Mason grinned to himself. Figures. The deeper he went, the more it felt like something was aware of him. Probing, testing, whispering in no language at all, yet somehow understandable. "You are prey." "Not today," Mason muttered. The rift's core wasn't empty. It was filled, not with matter but with something. A vast, fractal structure that looked like black coral stretching into infinity. Shapes moved within it, angular and wrong, like machines that had grown rather than been built. Mason flicked on his comm. Yeah, this thing's alive. Think of it like a giant mind reef. It's feeding on whatever wanders in. Ships, energy, data. The council's voices burst into his ear. You must leave immediately. If it is alive, we cannot hope to. Relax, Mason said. You called a Deathworlder, remember? He cut power. Let his ship drift. The mind reef's attention wavered. Predators didn't waste time on corpses. Mason drifted closer, silent. When he was nearly touching the structure, he activated something no Alliance engineer would have dared bring into such an environment. An old-fashioned, manually triggered nuclear warhead. Not smart, not elegant, but simple. And simple was hard to hack. He set the timer, drifted away, waited. The reef seemed to realize, too late, that prey had teeth. Tendrils of pure energy lashed out, but Mason's corvette was already punching out of the rift at full burn. Behind him, the nuke went off. Light flared. The rift howled. A psychic scream that made even the station's crew clutch their heads light years away. And then, silence. The rift collapsed, folding in on itself until only empty space remained. When Mason returned to the station, the council chambers were buzzing. You destroyed it? Admiral Kron stammered. Yep. Mason dropped into a chair. It wasn't invincible. Just, no one tried the right kind of stupid. Counselor Revek tilted his head. You risked your life. Alone. With a crude device. That's the thing about humans, Mason said, leaning back. We don't always need the perfect plan. Just a plan that works. And we're stubborn enough to pull it off. Counselor Tharen studied him for a long moment. So this is why your kind is called Deathworlders. Mason smirked. That's just what you call us. We just call it Tuesday. They never officially thanked him. The Alliance wasn't good at that. But Mason didn't care. His job was done. As his corvette disappeared into FTL, Counselor Tharen turned to the others. Remember this day, he said quietly. When our rules failed, we called a human. And the human won.